The Boston Celtics have without a doubt had some of the best talented basketball players of all time, but are you aware of all the Hall of Fame players that have played for the Celtics? Here is 5 Hall of Famers that you probably forgot played for the Boston Celtics. Hello there and welcome back to another video. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. It is highly appreciated. If you're new here and you love NBA content, be sure to subscribe with those bell notifications on. Without further ado, let's get into this. Coming in at number 5 is Shaq. So you probably haven't forgotten that Shaquille O'Neal was a member of the Celtics, considering it felt like it was just yesterday, but maybe a couple people have. In 5 to 10 years, however, I wouldn't be surprised if mostly everyone has forgotten by then. Upon hearing the news of Diesel's arrival in Boston, Celtics Nation deluded itself into believing that he'd have enough in the tank to bring the Celtics back into being a great competitive team and actually, being able to compete for a title again. We thought he'd be able to fill the void created after Kendrick Perkins' injury. However, Shaq O'Neal's foot injuries in Boston had all but ended his career by the time he joined the Celtics. Coming in at number 4 is Bob McAdoo. Bob found himself on the Boston Celtics team after a bizarre set of circumstances led him to being sent to a team that largely didn't want him. In 1978, the Boston Celtics were owned by Irv Levin, who wished to take his team to California. However, he knew the league wouldn't allow its most storied franchise to relocate all the way across the country. In order to move his team, Levin essentially traded his Boston Celtics team with KFC millionaire John Y. Brown's team, the Buffalo Braves, now the Los Angeles Clippers. The exchange was voted in favor 21-1 and the swap commenced. While its impact wasn't exactly earth-shattering, one major change that occurred was the Celtics acquiring Bob McAdoo. Next up is Gary Payton, and his career really didn't start off on the right foot. He initially refused to come to Boston after disapproving of the trade that sent him from LA to Boston. Rick Fox was actually part of that trade as well, but he decided to retire instead, which was probably for the best. While Payton would eventually play with the Celtics for the entirety of the 2004 to 2005 season, his season was largely disappointing. He wasn't the same defender he'd been in the years past, as throughout the year it became clear that he was no longer starting material. After his only season with Boston, Payton would join the Miami Heat, where he'd shortly thereafter win his only championship, playing alongside Antoine Walker, Shaq, and Dwayne Wade. In his prime, Payton was the best defensive point guard in the league. He was a gifted passer as well, making the Payton-Sean Kemp alley-oop connection in Seattle a reason to tune in to the Supersonics in the 90s. But for the most part, fellow Celtics fans, it's quite alright to hold Payton in contempt, considering he resented Celtics legend Casey Jones for only playing him 27.4 minutes in his rookie season. At number 2 is Dominique Wilkins. The human highlight film was not much of a highlight film when he joined D. Brown and Company on the 1994-95 Boston Celtics. His athleticism had begun to wane, yet he still managed to post 17.8 points per game at 35 years of age. However, without his athleticism, Wilkins had to take tougher shots, leading him to shoot at an efficient 42% clip from the field. Even though he signed with the Celtics as a free agent and likely knew what he was getting himself into, he supposedly grew restless after having to play for the rebuilding Celtics and opted to play overseas in Greece the following year. Wilkins' biggest contribution to the Celtics franchise, though, was by livening up the Hawks-Celtic games of the 1980s. Because of Wilkins and Bird's elite talents, their competitive resolve ignited a Celtics and Hawks rivalry. And coming in at number 1 is Pete Maravich. By the time Pete came to the Boston Celtics, his knee injuries had inhibited him from playing starter minutes. He became one of the Celtics' primary scorers off the bench, where he'd average 11 points per game with the Celtics. After the Jazz waived their franchise star, the surging 1979 to 1980 Celtics picked him up, allowing him to see his first playoffs since 1973. The notoriously long-range gunning Pete had joined the Celtics in the first year since the three-point line's inception, and eventually shot 10 to 15, which is 67% in the regular season and 2 to 6, 33% in the postseason. Had Pete's knee injuries not ended his career, we may have seen him on the Celtics for several years. He would have then likely been to his only NBA Finals if he had stayed around for just one more year, when they won in the 1981 Finals. That is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much. If you made it this far, you are awesome. If you made it this far, be sure to slap a like on it. I mean, you might as well. Clearly, you enjoyed the video. Remember, if you're new here, subscribe with bell notifications. That'd be very much appreciated. And until next time, you guys have a great day.